My name is Claire Donovan, and for 8 months, I planned someone else's dream wedding, not as a professional coordinator, as a best friend. Natalie and I had been close since college. 12 years of friendship, 12 years of secrets, late nights, and showing up for each other. So when she got engaged to Marcus, I didn't hesitate. "I'll handle everything," I told her, and I meant it. Natalie had expensive taste, and a limited budget, so she leaned on mine, my vendor contacts, my organizational skills, my credit card. Because I worked in event logistics, I had relationships with florists, caterers, photographers, and venue coordinators across the city. I got her discounts nobody else could have negotiated. I built her entire wedding from vendor calls at 7 a.m. to contracts reviewed at midnight, and every single one of those contracts signed under my name, deposits paid from my account. She'd reimburse me later. That was the agreement. Have you ever poured yourself into something so completely that you forgot to ask what you were getting in return? I forgot. For 8 months, I forgot. 5 days before the wedding, Natalie called me. Her voice was different, careful, the way people sound when they've already made a decision and just need to deliver it. "Claire, I've been thinking about the wedding photos, about how everything's going to look." I thought she was nervous. Normal pre-wedding anxiety. Then she said it. "I think the bridesmaid lineup needs to feel more cohesive visually." I still didn't understand. "I'm replacing you. I've already asked someone else to step in." Silence. Real silence. The kind that fills your chest. "You're not being removed from the wedding," she added. Like that helped. "You can still attend as a guest." A guest. After 8 months. After every contract, every deposit, every vendor phone call, I asked her directly, "Is this about how I look?" She paused just long enough. "I just want the photos to feel consistent." That was her answer. Consistent. She'd decided I wasn't pretty enough to stand beside her. And she told me 5 days before her wedding. The wedding I built. I didn't cry right away. I went quiet. The way you go quiet when something finally clicks. Because this wasn't actually a surprise. Not really. I started remembering things. The way she'd edit me out of planning conversations when her future mother-in-law was around. The way she'd introduce me to vendors as my assistant instead of my best friend. The way she never once posted about me during the engagement. The work was mine. The credit wasn't. There's a difference. Being needed isn't the same as being wanted. And I had spent 12 years confusing the two. I also remembered something else. Something practical. Every contract we'd signed had my legal name on it. The venue, the florist, the photographer, the caterer, the transportation company, all of them. Because Natalie's credit history wasn't strong enough for the deposits. Because I trusted her. Because I thought that's what best friends do. I sat with that for a long time. Have you ever realized? Has someone only valued your usefulness? I didn't call her back that night. I opened my files instead. 8 months of organized folders. Vendor contacts, contract copies, payment confirmations, email chains. Everything is documented. Not because I planned this. Because I'm good at my job. I reviewed every agreement. Each contract listed me as the primary client. Cancellation policies varied. Some had 72-hour windows. Some had 48. All of them had one thing in common. Only the contracted party could request cancellation. That was me. I also pulled up our text messages. Natalie had never once formally transferred financial responsibility to herself. No written agreement. No signed reimbursement contract. Just a verbal promise and my own trust. I sent her one final message. Calm. Professional. The vendor contracts are in my name. The deposits came from my account. We need to formally transfer everything to you, or arrange full reimbursement by tomorrow. She didn't respond that night. The next morning, she sent me a voice note, laughing. Her and 2 other women mocking my message. "She actually thinks she has leverage," one of them said. They thought it was a bluff. Have you ever watched someone underestimate you in real time? I waited until the morning of the wedding, not out of cruelty, out of certainty. I wanted to be sure. I called the florist first. I explained that I was the contracted client, provided my name, order number, and payment confirmation, requested cancellation under the client withdrawal clause. The florist was apologetic, professional. "We're sorry to hear that. Your refund will be processed within 5 business days." then the venue coordinator, then the caterer, then the photographer, then the transportation company. 5 calls. Each one is documented. Each one is legal. Each one is final. By 10 a.m., Natalie's wedding had no flowers, no venue access, no catered reception, no photographer, and no transportation for her guests. I didn't celebrate. I sat at my kitchen table, drank my coffee, and felt very, very still. The calls started at 11 a.m. Natalie, Marcus, Natalie's mother, her maid of honor, then numbers I didn't recognize. I didn't answer. I'd already forwarded all vendor communication to a single folder. Natalie eventually sent a message, not an apology, a warning. You ruined my wedding. I'll make sure everyone knows. I'll make sure you pay for this. I sent one response, just the documentation, the contracts in my name, the deposits from my account. Her voice note from 2 days ago, laughing. Then I said, I exercised my legal right as the contracted client. You're welcome to consult an attorney. The calls stopped. Word spread anyway. Mutual friends started reaching out. Most of them had heard Natalie's version first. But then they saw the receipts. 8 months of work. 1 voice note. 1 dismissal. 5 days before a wedding she hadn't paid for it. Have you ever watched public opinion shift the moment the full story came out? It moves fast. When the documentation is clean. I took 2 weeks off. No social media. No explanations. No defending myself to people who'd already made up their minds. I went back to work and I was good at it. I still am. I rebuilt boundaries I showed thee had 12 years ago. Not dramatic ones, just quiet ones. The kind that say, I'll help you, but I won't disappear in the process. I stopped making myself responsible for other people's dreams at the expense of my own stability. I also stopped calling it betrayal. That word made it feel like an accident. This wasn't an accident. People show you who they're going to be in small moments long before the big ones. I just hadn't been paying attention. I'm paying attention now. Some people mistake your loyalty for a resource they can spend. They take the work, the access, the late nights, the sacrifice. And when the beautiful moment arrives, they decide who stands in the light. They assume it won't cost them anything. It always costs something. Not because the person they underestimated planned this, but because systems have owners, contracts have names, and the person holding everything together was the one they chose to dismiss. If you've ever been the one doing the work while someone else took the credit, leave a comment below. Somebody who needs that reminder is watching this right now. Some people only realize your value when the flowers don't arrive.